Hello, we're the Blue Pythons, and we will start presenting the project we have built for the past 3 weeks in AI Camp on learning natural language processing. Our project is model called a compound word for question and artificial intelligence to create project. Quai is a customer phrasal built based on the GPT-2 model provided by AI Textgen. Since it might be hard to understand what the project does, I will show you an example. An example prompt that everybody might want to learn about is how do you get admitted to Harvard? If you click the question to generate, the website will generate how do you get admitted into Harvard, which is practically the same meaning. About Quai. So the main functions and use cases of Quai are, as I mentioned before, are customer phraser. It allows the user to type in a question and get a rephrased version of the question with the same meaning. After listening to the explanation, a lot of people might question, why would anyone need a model to rephrase questions with the exact same meaning? The answer to the question is that the model can academically support people in understanding several different concepts. When people try to learn a new concept, they might encounter questions that do not make sure and get stuck. Not only does this make understanding harder, but it also negatively impacts the efficiency and concentration. Most of the time, getting stuck requires people to either figure it out alone or search it up in Google to find the answer. Both of these are possible solutions, but then again, the first choice often leads to a massive time use, and the second option gives away the answer, decreasing the effect of learning. Quai could be a perfect solution for the situation. It rephrases the question, which possibly allows the user to change their perspective on the question and easily understand the notion. In addition to understanding new concepts, it allows the user to check their knowledge about a subject they have already learned by constantly creating questions related to the topic and solve them. Students benefit from the model since it may help them prepare for events and understand new concepts. The dataset we have used to train our model was provided by Quora through a website called Kang. After processing the dataset and collecting all the questions with a similar meaning, it roughly contained about 150,000 question pairs, and this vast amount of data allowed the model to get trained until it generated rephrased questions on itself.
All right, so here's how we made Quai. So we used a GPT-2 model, which is a kind of language model that was provided, and it was also pre-trained by AI TextGen, which so that it could get an understanding of the English language. And then after we got the model, we found a data set on a website called Kaggle for the purpose of rephrasing questions. So the data set consisted of similar questions paired together. And then when we were training our model, we would have the model take in a question and then try to predict the next question. And by doing this many times, then it was able to learn how to rephrase questions. All right, and now how Quai works. So Quai is a neural network, and a neural network is a function class. And a function class is a set of functions. So the neural network figures out which function to use to map the input to the output by adjusting whatever function it's using in training so that the input will better map to the output that's our ideal output. And then because the function can't take words as an input, Quai will convert the words into vectors and then use that to put it through the function, which is then outputting more vectors, which are then converted back into words and then outputted for you to see. And then we have what Quai is for. So Quai rephrases questions, and by doing that, it prevents overfitting, which means that instead of memorizing the specific wording of a question and its answer, you can actually learn and understand the concepts of a question better. All right, and here is our team. As stated, we are the Blue Pythons, and our instructor is Medhi.
So this is our blog page. At the top there is a picture of some of our inputs and output sentences. So in between both sentences, there's a little area of symbols that just helps you differentiate between the input and output sentence. And so if you click on that, it leads to our Medium page for Kwai. And he's loading it right now. And then at the bottom of the screen, we have a couple of blog posts we have. So the left side has an already rephrased sentence. How is it like to get into Harvard? And it has been rephrased into what is it like to get admitted into Harvard? And so there are more blog posts like that over here. And next to it, there's a brief video about Kwai made by our fellow teammate Lawrence. It's a quick little kind of intro to what Kwai is and what it does. We have our very own YouTube channel. It is very great. You all should subscribe. It's called the Exclusive Gamer Club. And then the last one is by John Freeman, who we very much appreciate. He said Kwai saved his life and helped him get an A+ on his essay by helping him memorize, not memorize, actually. That's what Kwai is not for. He put the questions in there so he could actually work on understanding the questions instead of not memorizing them. So yeah, it helps you study better.
All right, so here we have a small portfolio of a few presentations on our progress over the 3 weeks. On the left is our product specs and the proposal, and on our right is our demo presentation. Over these 3 weeks, we certainly increased our knowledge and got a better understanding of the languages and tools. Now, let's move on to FAQ. I'm sure you've all heard what FAQ is and stands for, but to give you a one-sentence description with no context whatsoever, it's the place where curiosity killed the cat. So we input a few questions that arose in past presentations and conversations, both humorous and serious. And since we're on FAQ, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question where I get a different output if I run the model for multiple times.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah, if you run the model, depending on how you spell it, you'll get different outputs. And if you just run the same exact sentence multiple times, you'll get different outputs. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Yeah.
I got one more in the chat. Could you show the software that you used? On the important questions, question number 4, you could open that one. We use a mix of software, tools, and languages such as Python, Pandas, PyTorch, AI TextGen, Flask, HTML, and CCS. I think we'll stop there with the questions, so on to you, Min.
Now for everyone, thanks for listening to our presentation, and we will conclude it with a prompt, like getting people to put it on the chat, and we will make a prompt like as you asked about like how we can have like wrong answers. We'll show how it works like. So please type in the prompts to me as DM or just the public chat, and I'll paste it and put it on here. Okay, how do you feel about AI Kang? How is it doing reality checks of AI Kang? It's kind of relevant, and the grammars might be like kind of off because we have trained based on the reality and like relevance, and it was trained based on the Cora, which means that it also adapts the perfect grammars on Cora, which kind of affects our model. And the second was, what does FAQ stand for? Okay, let's try that. What does FAQ stand for? Okay, never mind, it doesn't work. Well, we concluded with the last one. Last question. How is it during reality checks of AI Kang? Okay, let's go backwards. And our final conclusion would, how do you write a reality checks of an AI Kang? Thanks for listening.